Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is by far the most overrated game in the FNAF franchise. People often praise this game as the peak of FNAF, with the best elements when it comes to the gameplay and the style. So in today's video, I'm going to be annoying loads of people by putting my opinion in this video and talking about why Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is so overrated. So if you're excited for today's video, hit that like, subscribe, and let's go straight into the video. Now you can skip to the timestamp on the screen if you don't want to hear this, but first things first, I'm just going to do a quick recap of how the FNAF 2 gameplay loop works. In FNAF 2, you have a hallway and two vents, which animatronics can attack you from. Fend away from these animatronics, all you have to do is put on your provided Freddy Fazbear mask to make them think that you're one of them, and then they'll leave you alone. However, we have two animatronics that do not play by these rules, that being Foxy from the original FNAF and a new animatronic called the Puppet. Get rid of Foxy, you just flash your light at him when he's in the hallway, and to get rid of the Puppet, all you have to do is go onto their specific camera and keep a music box wound up, because otherwise your heart will stop as you all of a sudden start hearing a music box jingle and see an 8-foot lanky animatronic looking at your ass. But now that we've got the pretty basic gameplay mechanics down, I don't want to go too in depth because most people already know them, but if you don't, that's the basic overrun of how the mechanics work. But now that they've got that out of the way, let's get into what I think it's so flawed. To start off with, there are 12 cameras in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and that's a lot of cameras, and they all have some really damn cool renders on them too at times. However, you will never actually damn see them, because in FNAF 2, the only camera you have to use throughout the entire game is camera 11. And this is the camera of the Puppet, and this is honestly just the most dumb mechanic in FNAF. You have an entire camera system, and its only use is to wind up this music box, which could have easily just been a button in the office. And I know that would have made the gameplay more easy, but it would have also made more sense, and it would have meant that you're not wasting a whole camera system for a single animatronic. Now I know in FNAF 1 you don't really use the cameras all that often either, but at least you can use most of the cameras in FNAF 1 to watch Freddy as he moves and to slow him down, which is better than pretty much no mechanics like in FNAF 2. Now this wouldn't be all bad if the rest of the gameplay was decent, but it's still pretty damn bad, and it's definitely one of the worst gameplay loops in the series. The main gameplay of FNAF 2 is looking left and right, flashing the hallway, flicking up the cam for the marionette, then putting the mask on, rinse and repeat with no changes for 7 minutes straight, which is just ridiculously boring, especially if you're playing the whole game in one sitting. Now one thing I will admit is that there's always something happening in FNAF 2, unlike some of the other games in the series where you may have a bit of downtime every now and again, which does mean you're always focused when playing FNAF 2, but that also gets me to another point. FNAF 2 is just not scary whatsoever. I mean, for starters, the jump scares in this game are overall much worse than in FNAF 1, and I understand that maybe because of the amount of animatronics, but it could also just be that this game was rushed, as it did release only a few months after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. FNAF 2 is not scary due to many factors. The game is overall way too bright and clean looking, and does not look like a rundown restaurant. And I know that kind of is the point of FNAF 2, it's in a brand new restaurant that's all clean, but if the location isn't scary, then it really does take away from the horror aspect. Another thing is that the toy animatronics just don't have a scary design. The toy animatronics are way too kid-friendly looking, and I understand that that is the point of the animatronics, but it honestly just leads to the game not having any scary characters until like night 3 when the withered animatronics start moving around. The ambience to alert you of an animatronic that's nearby, which is this sound right here, constantly plays after like night 3, which becomes extremely annoying. Whereas on nights 1 and 2, it may actually spook some people who haven't played the game before or haven't played FNAF before. But then again, even if you have played FNAF before, it's not that scary when you compare it to ambience from FNAF 1 or even FNAF 3, which is also a game I wouldn't consider scary overall, but FNAF 3's ambience is definitely much better than FNAF 2. So when you combine all of the factors, the game really doesn't feel like a horror game, and it feels more like a rhythm game with the way you have to play it to win on the later nights. Now that doesn't mean FNAF 2 is a bad game overall, it's just not a very good horror game, and it's definitely one of the more lackluster games in the series, especially when you compare it to Five Nights at Freddy's 1, which in my opinion is probably the best in the series, or Five Nights at Freddy's 4, which could also be argued to be one of the better games in the series. But yeah guys, that's just my take. That's what I think about FNAF 2, being a little bit overrated, even though it is still a very good game overall. But either way guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, a like and subscribe would be very helpful towards the channel. And if you do like this style of content, I've got a video on FNAF 1 and 3 talking about my opinions on those games as well. But either way guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you in the next one.